Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you again for giving us a few moments to have a chance to chat with a couple of members of our 2017 class of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Of course, gentlemen to my closest right here, first gentleman to win championships in all three of NASCAR's National Touring Series, 11 championships overall, and if memory serves me correct, 105 victories in the NASCAR Premier Series, Richard Childress. And to his right, he's won 14 National Series championships and 242 races in the NASCAR, what is now Sprint Cup Series, Rick Hendrick. So, gentlemen, thanks for your time and also for your time yesterday, spending it over at the Hall of Fame with our guests and our fans as well. And Richard, first talk a little bit about over the last 3 days, you know, as the last 3 days have evolved, has it started to settle in that you're a part of the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
I think it is. You know, it's start with, Winston, it's a great honor to be in the Hall of Fame with so many heroes of mine and with so many great people that's helped put this sport, that gave Rick, myself, the opportunity to do what we're doing today. And to go in the class that we're going in with one of my good friends and buddies here, Mr. Rick Hendricks and Benny Parsons, Mark Martin, two great drivers, and a car owner that really set the road for all of us here was Raymond Parks. So it's an honor to be in this class, and it's just an honor to be here, and it's beginning to sink in.
Mr. H., same question for you, and what kind of communication have you had from people, not just who you work with now, but over the years, over the past few days?
You know what, I didn't expect to get in, and when it happened, I had folks that I went to school with, friends that I haven't seen in years, people I don't talk to. I think, you know, I've won some big races and jammed my phones up, but not like this. So it's a real honor, and just like Richard and I have been buddies for a long time. He's been by my side at some tough times, and we have to race against each other, but we're close. And then to go into to have Mark Martin and Benny, who drove for me, and I feel exactly like Richard about Raymond Parks, because I watched some of the videos of Parks and how he kind of helped NASCAR get started. And so it's an honor when you look at the sport. Never thought I'd be able to be in it this long, and I never really thought I'd get through it the first year. And to be in the Hall of Fame, but with the class, I couldn't be happier.
You know, we've been very fortunate with the classes having so much camaraderie. Both of you guys had some interesting stories from Wednesday night of getting texts and your reaction to those texts. Not sure what it was. Richard, you want to start with some of the communication you got and when it finally sunk in what they were talking about?
Yes, the first text, I'd been gone about a week and a half, and I was in there late that evening getting caught up on my emails with my assistant, and a text came through from Mike Hilton, said congratulations. And I said, he's just now finding out I got put in the Motorsports Hall of Fame in Daytona. And so a few minutes later, I started getting more texts, congratulations. And then somebody beat on the door and hollered, congratulations, you're in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And that's just blew me away. So I went right away, opened a bottle of Childress Cabernet, and had a drink.
I can imagine we're going to have some of that come January the 20th. Mr. Hendrick, how about you?
Yeah, same deal. I got the text from Mike, and I didn't know what it meant either. And you know, then as soon as a couple more came in, Christian and I were actually watching it. It came in before I think it came in before it was on TV, didn't it? And
yes.
And so about the same time. So it was pretty special watching it on a laptop, but getting ready to go to the charity deal that night. But it sinks in more and more as the day goes on and as time goes on, and you really start to reflect back. It feels kind of like the first championship, you know, when you want to thank everybody that's ever helped you, and that's the way I feel today about all the drivers and Harry Hyde and the folks that supported us all the, just all the way the last 33 years.
Questions from the group here. We'll start here with Ben. If you got a question, just raise your hand and we'll go to Kenny and Hill.
Okay, this is for Richard. If you could, Richard, just talk a little bit about your driving career. A lot of people associate you, of course, with the 6 championships as a team owner, but maybe they might not know that 76 top 10s and 285 starts. You are a pretty good race driver in your own right. Could you just talk about your driving career?
Well, I wouldn't be here today if I was counting on my driving career, I can tell you. But no, I drove, started in '64, bought an old $20 '47 Plymouth and started racing at Bowman Gray Stadium. And, and the biggest break I ever got, I got a lot of breaks throughout my career. The biggest one was probably, one of the bigger ones was when we ran ran Talladega in 1969. I came back with more money than I'd ever seen at one time. Mr. Big Bill France gave us some money to run that race, and I came back and built my first shop, and that's how I got started. But probably the biggest break in my whole career was when Dale Earnhardt got in the car, started driving for me, and he's the biggest reason I'm here today is all the great things that happened. But my driving career, I still think about it, and just like Rick, probably racing the boats and the cars and things he did, it's fun. But like he said, and I'm gonna quit talking because he's got a lot to say, but like he said, you start, over the last 3 days, I started reflecting back on a lot of the things that's happened throughout my life with you get family all throughout this garage area. So, Rick?
Maybe ask me a question.
We'll go with Kenny, then Hill, then we'll go upstairs and then come back to Mike. Kenny?
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. For both of you gentlemen, I spoke with different people within your organizations, and I was kind of interested in why you weren't there on Wednesday when the announcement was made, and the response I got from just about everybody was you guys really didn't feel like you were going to be going into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, but it just wasn't something that you guys thought would be possible at this time. You've both been on the ballot since the first ballot came out back for the first class. What is it, why do you guys think that you weren't, I don't want to say worthy, but I mean, why was it such a surprise?
Well, when you look at what Richard's done and the races that we've won together, we're still racing. So I understand and think it's right that you should get all of the guys in that went in before us. And so I would have felt bad if we'd been early. I think some of the folks that went in that aren't here anymore, and some of the retired champions and folks like that, I felt like our day would come, but after many years of being on the ballot and not getting in, I just never thought about it. I just felt like one day I'd be there, but they were going to probably wait till I retired or died. So I'm glad I didn't have to retire or die. So.
Yeah, about the same here. There's so many greats that's in there and that deserve more than I do to be in there earlier than we did, and it's just such an honor. But like Rick said, I'd been told, reason you're not getting in, and you will get in someday, but you got to retire or die, and I didn't like the second option at all, for sure.
We don't like either option. So Hill, and then we'll go upstairs and then over here to Mike.
Yeah, Hill Overton, WIXC Radio. Richard, I had the pleasure of getting to know you and talk to you back when you were a driver, but more importantly, I saw you and got to knock on your door at the little metal building on Gumtree Road out of Winston when you first opened the doors and started a team. What were your goals at that time? Where did you think you were going, and did you ever believe you'd come up with a big campus and welcome like you have today and all the successes that you've enjoyed?
Not really. I don't know that any of us ever dreamed the sport would be. I knew when R.J. Reynolds got back in it, and I guess it was 71 or 72, that the sport was going to move forward. So they brought some dollars. And no, as far as me making it, it was furthest thing for my dreams.
Got a question up in the press box.
David Exum, Independent Tribune. Mr. Hendrick, could you talk about, or just reminisce a little bit about Tim Richmond?
Scott, can you, if they can repeat the question up there, it didn't come through down here, please.
David Exum, Independent Tribune. Mr. Hendrick, could you just reminisce a little bit about Tim Richmond?
You know, Tim was one of the guys I considered in the very beginning when the deal with Richard Petty didn't work out. And he couldn't make up his mind, and Jeff Bodine took the ride. And then we had a sponsor that contacted me, which was really unusual. They'd like to sponsor a car, and so I immediately went to Tim, and we put the deal together. And Tim had more, I guess, just as much raw talent as anyone I've ever seen. And I know Richard came up to me that first year. Richard, he ran second or won about 8 races right in a row the second half, and we were closing in on you guys that won the championship. And Richard said, "You guys are going to be hard to beat next year." And then Tim got sick, but Tim was, man, he had, again, I've seen him and Earnhardt over here just playing with each other, run door to door for 10 or 15 laps, you know, touching each other. And I'll know, and Richard might remember this one. We're at Pocono one day, and he was leading the race by a ton. And he said, "Ricky, you on the radio?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Watch this." And he goes high in 3, and I thought he blew up. And he let Dale get by him, and then going down the front stretch, he jacked him up right in front of the flag stand and turned him loose. And I thought, man, you're crazy. But Tim was a heck of a talent. He would have won a lot of races. I think he would have won championships. I would have liked to have seen him. He was good for the sport. He was fun to be around, and a shame that the sport didn't get to have him longer.
Mike, here in the middle. Yeah, they're going to bring you one.
Mike Solarte with Time Warner Cable News.
And I'd like to hear this
I
conversation.
know, I'm trying to pick it up with their microphones. This is for both of you. You both have touched on how close of friends the two of you are. Did your friendship maybe drive you guys harder in competing to, you're still friends, but you still, as owners, want to, I guess, beat your brains out?
Well, we've had some situations where we had to go up to each other and say, we're not driving the cars. That was back when Dale and Jeff were wrecking each other right here, and it was costing us a lot of money. So they made a movie about it, because we got summons to Daytona, and Bill France brought us in a room with Dale and Jeff Bodine and Richard and myself, and he said, I'm not going to use all the words he used, but he said, there ain't 2 monkeys going to mess up our show. And he said, so we can sit here and watch videos all day. Help me, Richard, if I get off track. But Richard and I had already agreed that we couldn't control it. We tried to, but it was just costing us a lot of money. And Mr. France said, we're going to go have dinner. And Dale said, I got some plans. And he said, there's a phone, change your plans. And Richard and I rode together, and Bodine and Dale rode together, and we didn't have any more trouble. But Richard and I, we would always go up to each other after the fact, shaking our heads and saying, if Bodine dumped his car, I'd say, Richard, I wasn't driving. He'd say the same thing to me. Most of the time, he would say to me, I wasn't driving the car.
Yeah, that's one of those more great memories. I don't know if you call it great, but they were fun memories back in the day. You look back at it now.
That wasn't any fun that night.
That night at all, it was not, because he was serious, and he definitely said, I don't care if y'all got to run on one side of the track and the other one on the other one. you better not do it again. So he was pretty serious, but you look back on that piece of history that was made, and to be part of it and to build a friendship like we built out of it going back, that was 85 or 6, wasn't it, I think? Somewhere like that. But it was quite a trip.
Got another question over here.
Barry Richmond, Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation. This one's from Mr. Hendrick. I guess compare or contrast the first championship and getting into the Hall of Fame. How do those two compare? I remember that first championship and was almost like a breakthrough for the organization.
Yeah, I said it a minute ago. I remember being in the room at the banquet, and I always thought I'd go to New York to watch Richard get, because they were winning every championship, and it seemed like, and I would think about people like Jack Tanton, Clayton Mitchell, and my dad, that when I was going around with them in the modified cars, and here went to I think it was Hillsborough, to watch Buck Baker and Buddy Baker have a grudge race with Richard Petty and Lee Petty, and I don't remember what year that was. It was dirt Hillsborough, and to think that I was in New York getting ready to win a championship, I could not believe it. I mean, I was so humble. I wanted to call everybody I ever knew in racing and thank them, and just overwhelmed. And when this really happened, those same thoughts came back. All the doors that had been open, all the people that had given me a chance, how close we came to shutting the shop down after the 6th race in Darlington, and just going into Daytona the first time, looking at the Wood brothers and Junior Johnson and the Pettys, and saying, man, I don't belong here. And just to grow up on a farm in Virginia, loving the race, loving cars, and then dreaming about racing to enter the Hall of Fame of what I think is a premier racing organization in the world. It's like, how does it get any better than that? And so all those emotions came back, so it was just like that.
Time for one more upstairs in the press box.
David Exum, Independent Tribune. Richard, could you just talk about Austin and Ty, and kind of how proud you are about their progression as drivers in NASCAR? Thank you.
Yeah, like I'd said earlier, this is a family sport, and to have them driving today, I wish they'd have played golf or baseball or football or found something else to do, but it's what they wanted to do, and they make me proud as drivers, but they make me just as proud as being good young men and representing the sport like they do. And both of them, just soon as they found out that I was put in the Hall of Fame, both of them called me just as excited as I was, really. So yes, I'm really proud of them.
Well, gentlemen, again, hearty congratulations. Extremely, extremely well-deserved, and appreciate all that you've done and continue to do for the sport, and glad you don't have to retire to get in the Hall of Fame. We're looking forward to the next several months with you guys, and good luck to both of you this afternoon and this evening here in the Coke 600. Y'all have a good afternoon. Thank y'all. Yeah.